Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning. Thank you for joining. I'm Sia Fatimi, our Global Head of Sales for Market Data Services. The purpose of today's user group is to discuss all things Data Notification Manager, what we're doing and what we're looking to do with the product. I'll now hand over to Steve Rowe.
Thank you, Sia. Welcome, everybody. We are very pleased to present this to you today. This is the first of what's going to be a recurring series with regards to the Data Notification Manager. As those of you that currently use Data Notification Manager are aware, this is the industry standard and one of the most innovative tools that we have in the industry. We are looking very much forward to having your questions and your responses so the product can continue to grow and be successful. Thank you, Sia.
Thanks, Steve. Rob, over to the next slide, please. So today we're going to have the four gentlemen in front of you, well, minus me. So Rob Howe is our Director of Market Data Solutions and Operations. He'll be running the demonstration for everyone. Scott Breslin is our Head of Relationship Management globally and has a long history with the business. And Jeff Metzger, also been here for a long time, is Vice President of Product Management at TNS, and he'll be running through some things after the demonstration. Rob, I guess this is a bit where I hand it over to you.
Nope, it actually goes to Steve here.
Oh, Steve, back to you.
Thank you very much. So one of the things we just want to highlight, those of you, as I said before, that have the Data Notification Manager truly understand and are receiving the real value of the benefit of the product. For those that are maybe new to Data Notification Manager, this is a tremendous time saver, reduces the amount of money and risk that you have in potentially missing a data notification and being out of service. So it could take out an application which has a domino effect with all of the users and other applications that may connect to that. And as you can see from some of the statistics that we've included here below over the last few years since 2021, and we of course have this much deeper and historical, but for this discussion today, we kept it just for 4 years. There's an increase year over year in every consolidator out there, and even of course with regards to ClearNet, which is a recent partnership that we have that Scott will maybe speak about later. So with the data notifications increasing each year, doing this process manually, as you know, is something that you just couldn't do. It's taking teams of people to do this. It's error prone. This now introduces precision, and it saves from client estimates roughly 100 hours a week. And if you look at some of this information, it's actually pretty daunting, the amount of work that you guys do. So Rob, you can go to the next slide and we can pick it up from there. And I believe the ball is yours.
I appreciate it. My name is Robert Howe. I'm the subject matter expert and also the original creator of the Data Notification Manager. So for any of those people who are out there who I've been on since 2015, I'm sorry for all the early versions. So just want to first kind of understand why people go with the Data Notification Manager is because it's been such a prevalent issue within the market, and no one wants to be hit or have any impact from a negative DN. So let's go right into the demonstration. So within the demonstration, we've got our different vendors that we have available to us. So we have Refinitiv, Bloomberg, Active, ICE, ClearNet, and our Refinitiv service filter. We also have a quick view, which is our calendar view and our client email review. But let's just start off. We're just going to look at Refinitiv for today. So when you first come into the page, you're going to see we've got our DNs and we also have our product notifications. Right on the top, you'll notice that each column has filters available, and we can actually click on filters up here to give different options to search. So for example, if you're a market data manager, you're going to be looking for those PDP changes or the EIDs on the Bloomberg side. And we also have other ones that are important to people, like good example, price changes. So those people who are, managing fits and whatnot are able to identify which ones that they actually have to review. So let's go ahead and let's look for a specific DN. And I'm going to just start off with the DNs that I just recently looked at was 210794. Now we have this free text search available to us. And so we are able to bring up these DNs. This actually makes it really quick and easy for when you're having your meetings with your team. You spout off a DN number and it brings it right up. So it's very quick and easy. So here we have the DN that's available that we get right from the LSEG site. We can see all the PDP codes and the PE codes that are impactful to the DN. Now, in the early versions of DN, that's all we worked with. Ever since our development team took over, now we actually go down to the RIC level. So what we can actually do is see all the nitty-gritty about the DN And we also see the attachments that are included, which you can click on and download anytime. You can see the record matrix, and then you can actually click on retrieve all symbols. So you can see we had 1,746 symbols found in the DN, and then you can also see right below, only 64 of them are actually being used. So this makes it a lot easier to identify, the impact of the DN. Now, here's where, the secret sauce comes in. So now we've got our users that have been affected, and we have different ways that we can classify this. We can go what we call the big bucket approaches. Anybody who is permissioned for it, you're going to be getting a notification. Or we can say anybody who has usage of a PDP code, a good example like, WWICon, you'll basically be catching, a huge bucket all the time. Or you can go down to the PE level, which is going to give you, it's more precise, but it's still not as good as the symbol level. So now you've taken your list of people impacted down from, 5 users down to 2 users. Now, each user within the user notification can be set individually for different alert levels. Maybe, Rob Howe here wants to have it a symbol level and PE level, while Steve wants to know if his perm, what he's permed for has a change, or Jeff just cares about when the symbol impacts him. Right from in here, you can just click send an email. You always know if they've had the most recent revision. And within the system, they will automatically send it. So you could have a DN that's released 8 times, and they'll automatically get that update as soon as it comes out. So it's super helpful. It's going to make your life 10 times easier. Now, the commentary section, it says comments. I call it the commentary section. Now, this is very helpful for teams, small and large, because what can happen now is you have a conversation with this. Now, you can go ahead, type in any notes you need to type in here, and you can refer back to it. So say maybe, you're not totally ready for this DN, you want to have a conversation, you set the status to, it's in progress, or, requires review. So your team has to resolve it. Or you could assign it to a specific user. A good example is assign it to me. And I'm going to just type in here, not totally sure about this, need to regroup. Now, this is good for anybody, because what happens when Rob gets hit by the bus? You want to understand what happened, why, what happened here, who were they talking to, who are the players? It's already been documented in there. So super helpful, and you'll never have to go back to looking for emails ever again. So let's go into some of the other features now. So we were talking about different things on the filters before. So one of the big issues we've had in the past, now this is going back many years now, where one of our clients came to us and says, gee whiz, we've been having an issue with a DN, or with a symbol, actually it was. It's not coming into the system, it has an issue. So at the time, they were not a DNM customer. So I asked them, well, what's the symbol? Oh, the symbol is, I'm just going to make up one for right now because of how we do this. And we click on the search, it does its searching, and then it immediately brings up a DN that it's impactful to this DN. I hope I copy and pasted correctly. What the value of this is, I was able to go back to that customer and say right away, hey, you're being impacted by this DN. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. And we found the exact line that said specifically, it was actually a primary listed exchange changed, and it totally threw off their system. It was an issue for 2 weeks, found it in about 2 minutes. So super helpful tool. Other little things to show you is this thing called the client email review. Some of the teams have weekly meetings, bi-weekly, monthly meetings. So that's the reason why we have these different options here. So if you're having bi-weekly meetings, you click on bi-weekly. And what you're able to do is quickly see, what's coming up. We're looking at new changes. We're looking at PDP changes. These are the ones that every time somebody's going to get, hit for, not updating DAX or not running that map collect because that PDP changed. And then we scroll down, and we've got just the new changes. So we made these like big buckets to make life easier to digest. And then we have something that's revised. So if something was changed, just let's give it a double quick check to see what's going on. And then we go into our fields and our field and FID changes. So super great tools. I really hope everybody has gotten something good out of this. And I will now pass it back to Steve.
Thank you very much, Rob. We appreciate that. So I think what perhaps at this time what we would like to do is maybe call on Jeff Mesker, who could show you some of the new features and enhancements that we've added to it, and discuss a little bit about where we think we're going to go with this roadmap, some things that are coming up.
Yep. Thanks, Steve. So like Steve mentioned, I'm Jeff Mesker. I head up development for the D&M product. So talk a little bit about some of the things we're focusing on in the upcoming releases, and starting by talking about some of the things we've done recently. So the general themes that I'm hearing, is I hear from the customer base, and by all means, by the way, please use this opportunity. I'm very curious to see, put it in the chat. Are there things that you're really interested in seeing added? If, as I talk through here, do you think I'm on the right track? Are we off base? I welcome your feedback, so please don't be shy about providing it here. One of the, like Rob mentioned, the main purpose of D&M is providing workflows to manage massive data sets, right? So we're in the two ways we see people primarily interacting with that would either be in these kind of grid overview screens in D&M. So as an example, right now, I'm pulling up the email review dashboard. In this calendar view, people like it because it's a dense way of giving an overview of what's coming up and what could possibly impact you. But there's more information that can be presented on one screen. So something we did recently is we added, this link to where if there's a date that has a lot of DNs that could impact you, you can click the link and it'll take you to the separate screen where you can see all the information presented. Another thing we recently added earlier this month is we added filtering and sorting capabilities at the top of each column in the notification grid here. Common use cases. If you want to enable the change type column and you want to run a query, give me all DNs that have a policy change as an example. You can, just like in Excel, apply filters to drill down into pulling out specifically which changes you want. You can set multiple filters on multiple columns simultaneously. So again, just with the goal of making it easier to manage the workflow and the information in this view. Because what I'm hearing is people like this higher level view where you see everything in one shot, but there's additional information you want to get out of this and make it easier to access. So to that end, we're going to focus on kind of this screen and this view and making some changes to make it more usable and empower additional workflows in this screen. So one thing we've heard is people want a custom notes field that can be displayed on this grid where you can type in your own notes and either see them here or be able to export them to Excel or copy and paste them. People want to be able to action workflows directly from this screen. So instead of clicking into the DN and going through your workflow, you want the ability from this high level screen to just kind of go down the list and boom, 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 go through all the actions and assignments directly from the grid. We're going to take a look at all the vendors and make sure that all the information that the vendors provide, we're making use of. So not only are we pulling it into D&M, but we're making it normalized and filterable and sortable on the screen. So, we're taking a look at ICE notifications as an example. I think that's one where there's a lot more information we could be pulling out of those notifications. We'll not only pull them into D&M, but we'll do it in a way where it make it easily sortable and searchable from the screen. There's a couple things we're looking at really for each vendor, like the impact column from Bloomberg, stuff like that. And then the one other thing, and we'll start talking about emails in a second here, but people have also stated a desire to have more granular control over when automated emails get sent out. Going back to our change type column here, specifically the idea of being able to not only say, I want emails when this application is impacted, but I want a different workflow or different email address if it's a policy change, commercial change versus a technical change. So giving more control over who gets notified based on the contents of the DN. Speaking of emails, this is another feature we rolled out recently in our last release. Again, people, what I'm hearing is you guys want to manage these DNs in that high level grid overview, or it's important to have the email workflow nailed down and working properly. So to that end, we've heard a lot of requests for customization of what the emails look like. What's the content? Some people want to see this, they don't want to see that. Some people, it's the opposite. So we're going down a path where we're going to make the contents of the emails that get sent by D&M much more customizable. First thing we rolled out was a request to customize the subject lines in the emails that get sent. So you now have the ability to set a custom template and customize the email subject, either by adding or removing fields, reordering the fields that are in the email subject. And over here, you'll see it update in real time as you make the edits. And you can set a separate template for each service that you have, right? So this is something that's available now. You can edit at a high level, edit the body of the email, what sections of the email you want to have included. But we're going to take this concept that I showed with the email subjects and blow it out to the rest of the email body, right? It's letting you really have finite control over what specific information in the emails gets provided, because you're getting a flood of emails, there's a flood at the ends. We want easy access to just what matters, not having to have people wade through all this content and cherry pick what's important to them. So we're going to make it more customizable. And I mentioned earlier, we're going to look to have different templates based on either based on the change type or application type. So again, if it's a commercial change, maybe you want this content in the email. If it's a technical change, you want this content. You'll have the ability to customize that. So yeah, there's a couple of things we're looking at. We have a few more things we're working on, but those are kind of the key areas of focus we're going to have here going forward. And I welcome any thoughts or feedback. I think back over to you, Steve.
Okay, so I think Steve want to drive this. So we're going to intro to Scott.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's Scott Breslin. Rob, can you bring up the deck? Thanks. Hi, my name is Scott Breslin. I run relationship management at TNS Market Data Services, basically the legacy West Highland business. I want to talk to you guys about two products that we built. The first one is our Web Access Control Manager. We call it Wacom. So there's two use cases that we built Wacom for, and this was client driven, where a client had an issue where they were being hit up by FactSet, where they had users that were logging in 100 times a month. It just wasn't normal for FactSet, so they were coming after this bank, saying that just not normal usage that we're seeing. The client got very nervous about people were sharing their passwords with other people in the bank or even outside the bank. So they looked for us to build a solution that was able to manage all the passwords in the central repository, so that the user didn't have to know what his password is for FactSet or any other market data subscription service. And they just log in using their corporate credentials. They get a screen that shows them what they're entitled to. They click on the FactSet button. It goes into FactSet URL. It pulls the passwords from Wacom, and it gives the person access to Wacom. So there's no longer an issue with people sharing their credentials. The other use case for Wacom is where clients have trading systems like Goldman Sachs Marquee, UBS Neon, Citi Velocity, where traders and salespeople are trading based on the books and records of the firm. There was a huge compliance issue. There's an SEC compliance, what was it?
MCI.
SCI,
Yeah.
SCI, that clients needed to adhere to control how people are accessing trading systems. So another client implemented Wacom to control access that the traders had. So the traders don't know what their passwords are. They just log into Wacom. They click a button. It opens up Goldman Sachs Marquee, and they're able to start trading with Goldman Marquee. We also have a password reset capability in there where it automatically resets the password based on the bank's password reset policies. So passwords are refreshed and keeps in line with the corporate policies. So if anyone has any questions on Wacom, please feel free to add that to the chat. And then Rob, if you can push forward. And the second product we built, again, for a customer was data usage optimization. The current use case is around DAX. And basically what we do is we get from clients, we get DAX reports for unused permissions. We get DAX reports from unmounted. We run it through our analyzer, and we're able to provide the client with details around over the last 30, 60, 90 days, what applications haven't used, what exchanges or specialist data or applications haven't mounted over the last 30, 60, 90 days, and the associated exchanges that haven't been used. We then pull in exchange fees from the exchanges, and we're able to map the exchanges to the non-usage so that we can show clients exactly what the opportunity is to save on non-usage And we can look at it 90 days, like I said, 90, 60, and 30 days, whatever date range the client is interested in. One client we did it for, we identified $60,000 a month in savings. So it really pays for itself. And the model we have is that clients that want to take a look at this, we would do a complimentary analysis for them for their first review. We'd get on the phone with them, show them what the savings we identified, and then work with them on achieving those savings. And I'll pass back to you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Scott. So I think that's it from everyone from our side. We'd all love to hear your feedback. You can see the emails at the bottom of the screen. As mentioned, I'm the sales contact, so feel free to reach out to me, see if Fatimi, with any questions or follow-ups. I guess, gentlemen, is there any questions that we've had come in that we need to respond?
We do. We've got a few questions that came in, Sia. I think this one should be for Rob. One of our clients would like to know what automation is available for notifying clients of impactful DNs.
Rob, you're on mute.
I apologize for that one. Thank you. So one of the application, in order to do automation within DNM, what we do is we go to our application management, and in here, what we'll do is we'll define the application name. So this is going to be typically either a global name within DAX or in EMRS. It'll show you the names of the applications that matched, and then you can define simply just the type. But what'll happen is you set the alert level here, and if you set the auto send to true, the moment a new DN comes out that has impact on them, it will automatically go out. This also goes for if you have a new user that comes into the firm. As soon as a DN comes out, it gets revised, it's gonna automatically go out to that client. So it's really a time saver for getting those notifications out to the end users. And you can also target it specifically for an application. So say you've got, an application that has a prod ID, a UAT, a dev ID, you can just send one email and it'll include the content for all 3 app IDs all in one shot. I hope that answered your question.
Hey, Rob, can you just add a little bit more around the product, like data scope automation?
Oh, actually, thank you, Scott. That's a good one. So within here, you actually have the capabilities of also setting your product. And from the product point of view, you can actually have like data scope specifically set. So it'll send out the notification only if it's a data scope impact going out to the end user. So if they're using it, then they'll get the notification as the DN comes in as well.
Okay, so we got another question, Rob, that somebody would like to know, how can we see histories of what has changed when revisions come? All
right, that's a good one. So let me just go to one that I know that has a revision on here, because I would just happen to look. 210794. So we're going to click on here. My mouse responds. And you can see this one has 5 revisions here. So we actually have this button up here that says notification history. We would pop it up, and you can actually see the dates of everything that changed over the different revisions, going over the past. So it's very helpful, and it also helps keep, the vendor just as honest as the clients are.
Okay, this is actually a very good question. If a user or an application is added after a DN issue date, but before the effective date, does DNM capture that?
It absolutely does. So this is actually a great use case, because this is very often the case where you get you do your analysis in January that doesn't take effect until, we'll say, June, and you've had 10 users come and go in the middle. So as new users come on, they will be automatically notified that these new users have impact. All we need to do is have them configured in application management. And we have some clients that are working through getting that automated out of their DAX and directly into application management.
Great. Actually, here's a duo question, Scott, for you. How long does it take for your initial assessment typically?
Typically, we could turn the assessment around in a week. And that's from the time we get the files from the client.
Okay, and Rob, this one is back to you. We noticed that we're showing a lot of LSEG data notifications. Is the look and feel the same for Bloomberg and Active? And can you show us a little bit about ClearNet?
Sure. So this is actually now we are in the view all. So view all was going to cover all of them. So if I click on view all, you'll see we've got the Bloomberg, the DNs, we've got the Bloombergs, we got the active, the ICE, and the ClearNet. So I can actually just turn off some of these. So if we want to see ClearNet, instead of me trying to search for it, it'll make it a little easier. So I can actually click on the ClearNet and get all the details around it. Granted, of course, I picked one that is in Russian. That didn't help. So you can see very clearly that this is a ClearNet one, and we have it described by the source. So all the details are in here that you get from ClearNet. You still have the same commentary. Everything is very similar. Obviously, some fields are slightly different from a view point of view, but we've tried to do our best job to combine everything in a simple view. So if you want to talk about ClearNet, we've got the ICE as well in here. So you can click on one of the ones from ICE. We are working on improving ICE, as Jeff mentioned. They do provide everything as a nice big long PDF. So we're working to pull some of this data out of here, but all the data again is in here, and the commentary is still available on the bottom as well.
And the one thing I'll add is, and I mentioned this earlier, right? That's going to be a focus of mine going forward is, to the extent we can, making sure things are normalized across all the vendors. Because if you go back to setting filters and grids or triggers on emails, if everything's different, it doesn't work. So things, the look and feel and all the information is pretty well normalized now, but that's going to be an increased focus of ours going forward, is just making sure we're laser focused on that goal.
Okay, we've got another question from the audience. It says, do we have any plans to extend our coverage to exchanges over and above the current vendor coverage? So I believe
that be like direct exchange?
That for ClearNet, Steve?
I mean, that's what ClearNet is.
Yeah. Yes, I think that relates to ClearNet. So currently the product takes the information from the direct exchanges via ClearNet. When we have clients that have ClearNet already, we have a partnership with ClearNet that allows clients to integrate into the data notification manager. And if you don't, we have that, as I said, a relationship with ClearNet to then subscribe to the ClearNet service and bring it into the data notification manager.
Thanks, Steve. I think to add to that, Steve, in terms of adding new venues to the existing list that ClearNet have, Scott and I have worked with a couple of firms recently, and they're absolutely open. If there are new exchanges, we can reach out to ClearNet. They will reach out to the exchange. It's a very plausible and doable project. We just need them to provide us with the exchange notifications.
Okay, so I think the final thing that I'm going to note here before I turn it back to Sia for our thank you and goodbye is that I think, as you can see, the level of innovation that we have inside of D&M continues to grow and is very beneficial to our client community, and we are more than open to take feedback from our clients and continue to enhance this, because it's been the driving factor of how it's been expanding and why it's been so successful. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Sia.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Steve. Once again, thank you everyone for joining. Please do reach out just for a conversation. If you want to discuss all things Data Notification Manager or what we're doing with our other products, please do get in touch. Thanks, everyone.